Hi everybody, welcome back to the art studio. Here we go. We're doing 1 point perspective today. We're getting pretty advanced now. We are into day 6 of 1 point perspective, and as always, I'm going to be using my pencil, eraser, got some drawing paper, and some kind of a ruler. Any kind of straight edge will work. Edge of a book, a piece of cardboard. I got my ruler here, but you can use it basically anything that's a straight edge, okay? Today, we are going to be doing some more advanced level things. So up until today, I've been telling you, you got to keep your lines vertical and horizontal in perspective. You can only do 3 lines. Well, now I'm going to show you some more advanced level stuff where you can start to break the rules. And if you do it correctly, you can get some cool looking stuff, okay? But keep in mind, we've got our vertical guides are the edge of our page, and our horizontal guides are the top and bottom edge of our page. As always, we are going to start with a nice horizon line, a nice horizontal line, and again, lightly, because you might want to erase it because you're going to have stuff overlapping it a little later on. So keep that light, and then on that horizon line somewhere, your vanishing point, okay? I always make my vanishing point a little too big, just so everybody can see it out there. You want to make yours a tiny, tiny, tiny little spot, super duper small. So you don't want people to see that big dot, but I keep mine there so you can see it. All right, now, what I want to show you today is we're building up to doing letters, but I want to show you how you could do some kind of like houses. If you want to do in your street, so a lot of people like to do the street. If you're doing the street design for your final drawing, if you want to have houses instead of buildings, you sure could, but you're going to be taking one of our main rules, and you're going to be breaking one of the main rules. And if you do it right, it'll look good. All right, so here's going to be the sidewalk, okay? I put some horizontals on our sidewalk. Remember, don't let your sidewalk get all twisted. Don't have that ruler start to go that way. Keep that ruler horizontal the whole time. And you'll notice that I'm making these smaller and smaller and smaller as I go. Okay, just a little bit of the sidewalk there. All right, now I want to build a house. So I'm going to make the walls of the house nice and vertical. So I'm going to use the side of my page as a guide. And I'm going to have, this is going to be the wall of the house. Down the road a little bit, it's going to be the other wall of the house. All right, I'm going to do a perspective line to kind of finish off the house. Now you'll notice that I didn't draw that line all the way to the vanishing point. When you get better and better at this, you can do little shortcuts like that too. Okay, I didn't draw that all the way to the vanishing point. It does go all the way to the vanishing point. If I line up my ruler, it sure does go all the way to the vanishing point. But I just drew what I needed, okay? Just save myself a little bit of erasing. And when you get better and better at this, you can do that too, all right? Okay, so now, up until now, that's been review. We got vertical lines, we got perspective, we got some horizontal lines. Well, I want to make this roof look like a real house that's got a slanted roof. So I'm going to break one of the rules. I'm going to do a diagonal line. It's not going to go to the vanishing point, and it's not going to be vertical, and it's not going to be horizontal either. So I'm going to put like a sloped roof on here. Let's see here, about here. And about here. Okay, you might notice that this peak of the roof is a little further down this way a little bit because, again, this is bigger, it's closer to our eye. This is a little smaller, it's a little further away. So I didn't put that right here in the middle. I moved it over just a bit, okay? All right, so now we've got kind of the slanted roof like a typical house in Buffalo would have, all right? Now I'm gonna finish off the rest of it by just doing some horizontals. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna have a nice horizontal going off this way. The peak of the roof is a horizontal going this way. I could do this little edge here if I wanted to, get real fancy. All right, got a little eraser work to do. I went, my perspective line here went a little too far. A little bit of eraser work there, okay? So now you can start to see how you can build out a roof, a slanted roof. I'm gonna do a horizontal line here. Okay, this is like the side yard. Here's the side of the house. Here's the front of the house. And then there's that slanted roof. All right. Across the road, let's see, across the street here. We'll have our sidewalk across the street. And let's say this person's house is a little different. Their roof goes up this way. Okay, this line and this line are parallel to each other. They're straight to each other, okay? And then the peak of the roof, if it's going this way, is in perspective here, okay? Okay, that's how I would build a house with the roof going that way. So it's like the front door maybe would be here. The front door in this house would be here. So it's a couple ways you can do that. The idea here, everybody, is that we're breaking one of our rules and we are making that look slanted or diagonal, okay? You can start to do this now that you've gotten to the point where you can do this. You can mix and match these. You know, I could have the next roof could be sloped this way too. Or you could put different things on this roof or chimney, whatever you want to do, and start to build out more of like a neighborhood, not so much of a city. All these little extras that you add into a drawing will make your drawing look that much better, okay? The more complicated it is, the more people are going to think it looks more 3D, all right? So that's how you're going to do a slanted roof, all right? The key is that you've got, this and this are parallel. If this isn't parallel, it's not going to look right, okay? This line and then off my page would have been the other edge of the roof, but this would have also been parallel. Like, let's just pretend it's a real small little house. It would be this line here and this line here are parallel, okay? That would come down a little further to here. It's kind of a silly looking flat little house, but that's the key to that parallel lines when you do these angles, okay? All right, so the idea here is we're building up to more complex shapes and we're working our way towards letters. Okay, so I'm gonna peel this one off and I'm just gonna free draw a little bit, just some shapes. So if we have our vanishing point, and we've done squares and rectangles, so that we know is pretty easy. We go to the corners, and then to finish it off, we keep those lines parallel. And this we've gone over already. But let's say you want to have a circle, a curve shape, or you want to have a triangle, okay? Or just kind of a free-form shape. How are you going to do that? Okay, well, think about it like this. Any shape that's got corners, just like our square, that's easy. You know you can draw a perspective line to the corners. This corner, I could draw it. If I drew it in, it would look like the front of this triangle is open, okay? If I don't draw that, it would look solid, like a piece of steel or a piece of wood, okay? So the corner shapes, that's pretty easy. It gets a little tricky when you get into curve shapes because there's no corner to go to. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to look for where on that shape is the furthest out you can go on the shape and just touch that edge. So it would be somewhere like in here. And right here would be right off of the edge. You line it up right to the vanishing point, right where it would just catch that outside corner, just that outside curve, part of the curve, okay? If you draw a line here, and there's still some curve left, then you know you gotta move out, okay? But you can shade it that way with all kinds of lines like that, or you can shade it with curved lines, all right? I'll show you again over here. So this, let's just pretend this is a little more of a curve. So I'm gonna look for just where it would catch that curve, about here. This is a point, so that's easy. I know I can just take this right to the vanishing point. I don't really need to draw any lines on any of this part of the shape because there's no points, there's no corners. I can do all that with my shading, okay? So we've got kind of our box shape we've done. We've got now more of a cylinder, or think about like a really long piece of pipe or something round. And then we've got a triangle. Now remember when we did the I'm gonna switch over to a marker just so it's that much easier to see my lines. Remember when we were doing the square, remember when we shaded it, if we wanted something to look straight up and down, we shaded it in straight up and down. If you want something to look flat across the top, you know it. You got to shade it straight across the top. And again, if you turn your paper, twist your paper sideways or something, it's a lot easier to shade it. But I'm not doing that because I don't want to confuse anybody out there. Okay. All right. Now let's do the triangle next because we'll build up to these other shapes. So here's my kind of pyramid or triangle shape that goes back, prism shape. Just like we did here, if this is up and down, then the lines here are up and down. This was across, so the lines I drew go across. This front shape kind of tells you what to do. So this shape, this triangle shape, kind of tells me what to do. It gives me the direction that I should be shading. So this is kind of an angle. Again, we're doing a little more advanced here today. We're kind of breaking some of the rules. This is kind of just a diagonal line. So that's the line I want to copy. When I shade that in, I want to shade it in like that with lines that match this. They're parallel to this line, okay? Just for fun, just to do the inside. Let's pretend this is kind of like a cardboard box or something. So this line tells me which way to shade, and that goes that way. And I bet you can guess what to do here because this is flat. I want to make that look flat, so that goes that way. And I'm making this a little darker than I would that because it would be dark in there. There wouldn't be any light in there, okay? All right, that stuff's pretty easy. If you understand how to do the cube, triangle's a piece of cake. Curve's a little trickier. All right, so we've got a curve shape. We're doing a circle. And we're trying to turn this into a really long cylinder. And I already told you, remember, we want to have that, think about a laser beam where it would just catch the edge. The laser light would come out and just touch the outside edge. Do the same thing over here. Just catch it there. Okay? Now there's two ways that you can do the shading, and you can do both ways together if you want to. You can shade it with lots and lots of perspective lines, or you can copy this curve. And just like we did with the triangle, we copied the diagonal. Just like we did with the cube, we copied that vertical. Same rule would apply here. You would copy that curve, okay? So I could do that. I could put curves on there. And you could do it that way. That can get really tricky though, because you really have to be careful that you match that curve. You can't just rush through it. It's got to be really, you're copying this curve over and over again. So it's tricky. What seems to look nicer for students and what looks better is if you draw in a lot of perspective lines and don't overdo it, just a few. That seems to be a little easier way of making it look nice. And then again, if you want to do a combo like I did, you sure could. Okay. Kind of darker on the edge, more lines on these sides, and leave a little bit of brightness up here on that top side. Okay. The front could be flat. I could color that in any which way I wanted to, but whatever direction you pick, stick with it. If I go kind of at a diagonal, just keep that at a diagonal. But if I turn this into, let's say this is like a giant tunnel or a pipe or something. That now becomes the front edge. And then inside of here, and then we do the shading in here. And again, since it's the inside of this shape, like we did on the triangle, I'm gonna do a few more shading lines and just try to make it look a little bit darker. Again, I'm gonna try to leave a little bit of that center area a little lighter. And then now it looks, that looks like it's shaded in, okay? I'll put a little more in there, okay? So that's how you do curve shape. Now, on a free-form shape, this kind of almost looks like a bird or something to me. You can try to copy that curve, but it gets really complicated because a lot of times you'll have a shape where these curves will start to kind of go back behind another part of the shape. So you got to really be careful, because like on this part here, it's almost like this is going to come out, and this is going to kind of, this piece is going to hide back behind here. And then this comes out like this. So we're copying that shape. It's like, imagine if there's a million of these shapes and made out of cardboard and they're stacked together, and you would see these edges over and over again. Okay? So that can get really, really tricky to do because you're trying to copy that shape over and over again. So the same thing. You can use perspective lines, and it seems to be a little bit easier. And just take those up. And that can be a little bit easier way of doing a shape like that, okay? All right, so we started with verticals, horizontals, and perspectives. Now I showed you some ways of doing curves and angled lines. This is building this up to doing letters. All right, so now when you look at doing some letters, and I'm just gonna draw out some fun letters. Some graffiti letters. And you can make block letters or bubble letters, anything you want. I'll do some bubble letters too, to show you. My vanishing point, I'm going to put up here. That's just a dot from my last drawing. So, going like all the way back to the beginning, we're going to start with lines going to the corners of this first letter first. And then we're going to work away from the vanishing point, going off to the sides because of overlapping. Okay, so just like we learned with the curve shape, I'm going to go right to the edge of the R here. And there's my corner of the R, so that's easy here. I can do the corner of the A. And then I work my way over to the T. So far, pretty easy. Okay, those are just the top edges of those letters. But now when you start to get into the bottom parts of these letters and the inside sections of these letters, you got to pick and choose when to draw a line and when not to draw a line. All right. I probably wouldn't draw a line here because it would go through the front of my letter. And I don't want to make my letter look see-through. I wouldn't draw a line here either because I don't want it cutting through the letter at all. I want to make my letter look like it's solid and, made out of steel or something like that. So I wouldn't do any of the insides, okay, unless you really wanted to get into that. And you can do your own thing. But I'm just showing you some of the basics. The other thing you're going to watch out for now is where lines start to intersect and overlap. So if I've got a line, let's see, where would be a good one? Okay, like on this A, this line's going to come through here towards my vanishing point, and it's going to hit this R. Well, as soon as it overlaps this part of the R here, I'm going to stop drawing it. And I am not going to continue it starting up here or starting up here or starting up here. Once it goes back behind the R, that's it, okay? I'm not going to continue that line anymore. So I'm going to line that up to the vanishing point. And that's where that one ends. That would go to the vanishing point, but I can't see it because it's hiding back behind this R, okay? Same thing with this part of the A in here. Same thing with this part of the A over here. The R here. The R. Once you intersect another line, that's where that line stops. Now this one, just so happens, that one can go all the way back through. But not the, I don't think this one's going to do. I'm going to do this one first. This goes here. Then this goes here. Okay? So once you intersect another line, that's where you got to stop. So this T, again, starting from the center, working out, it saved me a lot of erasing. This is going to stop here. This is going to be just a little piece of that one there. This little corner here. This is an inside corner, it's called. That gets a line too. I'm just going to do this little, just this tiny little edge of this there. Just a tiny little edge of this thing here. Okay. So that's how you do some lettering. Now, if I wanted to, again, you guys are getting pretty good at the shading. So like here, those would go this way. The T, they would go up and down. How do I know it goes up and down? Because I'm looking at this shape here. Okay. This part of the T would go across. Now, this is a curve, so I can curve it, or I can use a bunch of perspective lines. This has got a little bit of a bend to it, so I'll try to copy that little bit of a bend to get that. All right. Just gonna get another sheet of paper going here, and I'm gonna show you bubble letters. A lot of people like to do block letters or bubble letters, and when I say bubble letters, all I mean by that is just some kind of rounded shapes. So I'm just going to do A, B, C. Okay, I'll put my vanishing point up here. Just like we did with the circle, you got to look at where you can just catch the outside edge of those shapes. So like on the B, think about a laser beam coming out. Where would it just catch the outside edge? It'd be somewhere in here. We'll just catch this edge here. Again, you're looking for overlaps. It's going to come out here. You don't need to draw a line from just the middle of the shape. If there's not a corner or an outside edge, you don't have to draw a line there, okay? Go here. So this A would be way over here. So part of this is kind of this pinches in here, so you get another line there. And that's how you would do kind of more of a rounder letter, a bubble letter, okay? If you're doing just block letters, a T, something real simple. Remember, you're doing all perspective lines. You don't, unless you really want to get fancy, you don't need to do the inside of the letter here. And remember, if you're drawing a line and it intersects another shape or something, that's where it's got to stop. Okay? Okay, guys, that's a little basics on perspective letters. Hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you later. Bye.